Hello there guitarists, today I'm going to be teaching you how to take a standard open chord progression and make it more epic, more interesting by adding all of those fiddly twiddly widdly bits in between. What do we call those in music? We call those embellishments. We're just taking something standard but we're adding something that really makes it sound a little bit more interesting, a little bit more technical, a little bit more wizardry going on there. So for the new people out there, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Aaron and I've been teaching guitar about 17 years and I now run my own one-to-one guitar teaching business right here in Bath in the UK. So what about these chords then? Well, stage one, we first of all got to learn the chord progression itself. And the chords are G, E minor, C and D. And all of them are played the standard way except the G chord is going to be played slightly differently to normal. So we're going to play our G chord like this with the second finger on the 3rd fret of the low E, which is also muting the A string underneath, and then the 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the B, which is also muting the high E string underneath that. So what we've essentially got left is a G5, a G power chord. And then the rest of the chords are played the conventional way. So we've got E minor, and then the C, and then the D chord. Lovely jubbly. So if you can do those 4 chords, you're already making a good start on this. Stage 2. We've got to learn the strumming pattern. So I'm going to teach this strumming pattern in 2 levels. Slightly easier version and then a slightly harder version. Let's start with a slightly easier version of the strumming pattern. What I'm going to do is I'm going to count out loud 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under. Every beat is divided into 4 parts and that's crucial because it's going to help us in part 2 of the strumming pattern. So we do a down strum on each chord on beats 1 and 2 as follows. 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under. And one thing I should mention is that the first note is only the bass note and then the rest of it is the whole chord. So I'll do that bit again. So we've got 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under, 1 E under, 2 E, 3 E under, 4 E under, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under. Okay, so you've got a bass note on beat 1 and then the chord on beat 2. What about part 2 of this strumming pattern? Well, now what you have to do is you have to add additional strums with the directions up, down, up on the E under of beat 3. Okay, so just to demonstrate that on its own using this G5 chord, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under. Let's put it with the 2 other parts. 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under. Okay, so once you've got that and you've got that nice and flowing at this kind of tempo, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under, 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under. Once you've got it there and you feel comfortable with that, you can now add some embellishments, which takes us into stage 3. Where are these embellishments coming from, and how do I know what notes I'm going to play when I play these embellishments? They all come from the same key that the chords are in. The key is G major, and the chord progression is a 1, 6, 4, 5. A very standard kind of ballad chord progression in pop and rock music and such. And we're playing a G major scale, and I'm using various notes from the G major scale that sit inside the chords that I'm already playing. But what you need to do really is you need to learn this G major scale and then be able to visualize it against where your chords are. So here's the G major scale. And like with any scale that you play ever, you need to ascend and descend as well. Don't get stuck at the top note of the scale. Okay. So spend some time on that scale. If you're not familiar with it and you need to come back to the video, do that. But that G major scale is really, really important and integral to adding these embellishments. So now we get back to our G5 chord, and this is the start of stage 4, where we put it all together. So we've got our G5 chord, and you know how I said to play with the second and third fingers, and how that's going to be important later on? Well, it's important now, because these spare fingers, my spare first finger here and my spare pinky, these can be used to pick out notes of the G major scale that they can reach within the chord. Now, here's an important thing to note. When you learn the G major scale, when you just learned it, I taught it you with an open B string. But what we're doing now is we're substituting that open B string because our third finger is already on the B string. So we're going to use fret 4 of the G instead. And what we end up with inside this G5 chord is 0, 2, 4 on the D and 0, 2, 4 on the G. Inside the chord. You ever wonder where those twiddly bits come from inside chords? Okay, that's where they come from. It's just knowing the scales inside the chord, knowing the open scales inside the open chords. So then we've got to know what's actually going on in the piece, haven't we? So I've got my strumming pattern. Okay, 4 E and A. 1, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. And then I hit the bass note of the E minor chord. E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and. So that first one, I'm doing the strumming thing, and at the end I'm doing a pull off on the second fret of the G string to the open G string, and then my pinky comes to the 4th of the D, and then I pick the open G string. 4 E and A, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and A. Okay, and then the bass note, the E, and 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and, 4 E and that's me sliding with my second finger up to the 4th of the D string from the 2nd of the D string. So 2, 4, and then the open G. Now, crucially, you want to understand that I'm not actually holding the E minor chord in its totality at this point. I've actually released fully from the chord, and then I'm sliding the whole hand, because you've got so many other notes in E minor which are going to ring out for you. All of those notes. Doesn't matter if you take your first finger off the A string, so you can slide that second finger up. Then I hit the bass note of the C chord. So again, that's 4 E and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a, 4E and I'm holding on to the C chord fully this time, but I'm releasing my second finger from the D string, hitting the open D, hammering onto the second fret of the D, and then open G. And then I hit the bass note of the D chord. And last of all, I finish with 4E and 4E and So while holding that D chord, my pinky's free, okay, and I'm placing it down onto the third of the high E, plucking, and then I'm pulling off to the second, pulling off to the open high E, and then plucking the third of the D string. And it sounds lovely. It leads us nicely back in to the G5 chord. I'm going to do the whole sequence while counting very, very slowly so you can try to absorb this. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and there is still one tiny little detail left. If you notice at the piece that I played at the start, as I played it at the start, I did what's called a pickup. I did a 2-note pickup. And that's with an open low E, palm muted, the second fret of the low E, palm muted with the first finger, and then that leads the second finger nicely onto the bass note of the G chord. So it would be 4E and 1, 4E and 1E and 2. There it is. That's how you play that progression and add some embellishments to it. And you can now experiment with different notes of the G major scale and make your own embellishments. Experiment with different timings. You know, I tended to put them on the 4E and 4E and. Maybe you want to just try it on the E and of 4, you know? Try it in different places. Just experiment. Maybe you want to change it up completely, and maybe you want to change the order of the chords as well. Perhaps you want E minor, D, C, G. I don't know, I'm just kind of making it up now. Anyway, I hope you found that helpful. And if you want tabs and backing tracks and guitar profiles and all that sort of stuff, you can find them over on my Patreon page. So get yourself over there if you want this in tablature form, if you think it's going to be more helpful. Other than that, thank you for stopping by. Anyone who views these videos is supporting the channel, and that means a lot to me because I really want to grow this YouTube channel into something where guitarists from all walks of life can get involved and just play music that they enjoy. And it's a real pleasure for me to make these videos because I'm a creative person and I love to create music, original music, and make it for my students to learn. I do it in my in-person business. I'm doing it on YouTube now. So there we go. Thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next video. If what's on your screen now interests you, have a little look. Thanks.